Hi, this is Sarah from Sarah Reads, and today I am talking about some of the books that I read in 2016. The first book I'm talking about is called Tender Morsels by Margot Lanigan. Margot Lanigan also wrote The Brides of Raw Rock Island, which I read earlier this year and absolutely loved. My thoughts on Tender Morsels will contain a little bit of spoilers just because I feel like I have to talk about some of the dark topics that could possibly trigger readers. Within the first 50 pages, the story follows Liga. Liga is about 13 years old, maybe 14, maybe even 12. She's very, very young. And her father rapes her quite often. And every time Liga gets pregnant, he forces her to take a magical potion given to him by the local witch. And when he is going to get the potion, he is trampled by a horse, and Liga is able to keep the child. And everything seems like okay for a little while for Liga, until one day a group of local town boys gang rape her, and she becomes pregnant again. And in this time of sorrow, she is ready to kill herself and her baby, but the fairies gift her with a gift that allows her to be transported into a world that brings her peace. And in that world, she raises her two daughters, Bronze and Erda. And this is told through multiple perspectives. So while the story originates with Liga and follows Liga for a good portion of it, she is, I guess you could say, a central character, and all the characters are interwoven around her. I gave this book 3.25 stars because I felt like the story was very drawn out and that it could have used with more editing. I feel like some of the story was unnecessary. I didn't really care for some of the plot lines, and while the writing was very good, especially in the first 50 pages, even though they were horrible, I think that that was probably my favorite part of this novel because it made me feel for Liga. But as the story progressed, it became harder for me to really get attached to the characters. But I do recommend it if you are able to stomach the content, because it is very graphic. The next story I have to talk about is a short story written by Leigh Bardugo, and this is called Little Knife. This is a Tor short story, so you can read it online for free. I give it 4.25 stars. Follows a young girl named Eva, and she's considered to be like the most beautiful girl in the Grisha village. I don't know specifically if they are in a Grisha village, but it's a Grisha universe, so I'm just call it the Grisha village. And she's so beautiful that they have no direct documentation of what she looked like because no one can agree on like how beautiful she was. And her father, he's a bit of a con artist, so he decides that the best way for him to, make money off of his daughter and get her with a suitor so he can get more money is to have all kind of tasks that are only possible for a prince to complete. So, and what happens in the story is pretty awesome. Like, I really like the ending. The next book I have to talk about is a book that's free on Amazon, and I suggest you look it up now. It's called 9 Minutes by Beth Flynn. The cover is really ugly. I know, you're probably looking at me if you looked it up and you're like, ew, why'd you even direct me to this? Download it, okay? Download it. It's free anyway, so just download it. You can delete it if you're not interested, but I'm telling you, read the prologue. The prologue introduces us to this girl, and she was abducted in 1975 and given to a biker gang. And the leader of the biker gang, his name is Grizz, and he is being executed within the first couple pages. So I highly recommend checking it out. Like, it was so good. It's hard to root for them as a romantic couple because, it's wrong. There are times when Grizz is absolutely horrible and he pissed me off. But at the same time, like, I definitely shipped it. I was definitely for Grizz and Kitty. And I'm not calling her by her real name because it's a stupid name. And as far as I'm concerned, she's Kitty, even when she was like her real self again and she was able to be with who she wanted to be with, which is all a bunch of BS. I'm probably going to read the sequels just so I can see how this ends up. The next book that I read is called Up to This Point by Jennifer Longo. I gave this book 3.25 stars, but it's more of a solid 3 stars now that I think of it. It follows a girl named Harper. She's a ballerina in San Francisco, and she had an incident happen that caused her to need to run away. And when she runs away, she goes to Antarctica. Out of all the places, right? Well, it makes sense because Harper is related to Harper Scott, and he was one of the first people to travel to Antarctica. I don't think he was successful, if I remember correctly, but it's really fascinating. It's a cute story. I'm not much of a contemporary YA person, but I did enjoy it. I personally don't recommend it to people who aren't avid fans of YA contemporary because it will not do anything for you, in my opinion, unless you love ballet. That was probably the best thing about this novel. The next book I read, I DNF'd. I was sent this for review. It's called Bloodspell by Amelie Howard. I have had this book on my to-read shelf for a while, and I was like excited when she contacted me about reading it. I was like, oh my god, yes! And she even sent me the sequel. Sadly, I won't be getting to the sequel. I got to about 37% of the way through. I will link my review down below so you can read up on what my thoughts are. I'm just not a big fan of the story, mainly because it's a Twilight ripoff, and it just has a slight twist with the main character being a witch, a blood witch. And that's interesting, but not enough for me to care about two ripoff characters. The next book that I read was also a DNF, but I feel like I should talk about it. It's called Miracles Happen by Mary Kay Ash. I'll be giving this book away. Maybe I'll sell it on Amazon, or I'll donate it to a charity shop or a used bookstore. But I think that Mary Kay is pretty awesome. She's definitely a woman who's ahead of her time. She started a business for women when women weren't supposed to be really working, and she was pretty cool. Like, I really admire her. The problem is she can't write, like, at all. And I'm not wasting my time slugging through her writing. I just can't. The next book that I read, I wanted to DNF it, but it was so short. I was like, what's the point? It's called Beautiful Demons by Sarah Cannon. It follows a girl who is also named Harper. And she has magical powers. There's demons at the school through the cheerleaders, blah da da da. Nothing memorable happened. I don't care about the characters. 1.25 stars. It's free on Amazon though. If you're interested, check it out on your own discretion. The next book I read was A Touch Mortal by Leah Clifford, I'm sorry. I gave this 3.25 stars. It started out really strong. I was really invested in the story, and then it just kind of went downhill from there for me. It follows Eden, who is about to kill herself when she meets Az, an angel who's about to fall, and through events he realizes that she's a sider, which means she's gradually fading away from reality. So she has to kill herself anyway because no one's gonna remember her. And it's a really dark plot, but I really enjoyed it. And then it just got really predictable towards the end, and I stopped caring really. But I do recommend it. I don't think I'll be continuing with the series though. The next book I read, in comparison to the last crappy historical romance I read, I have found a nice little gem. It is called The Trouble with Dukes by Grace Burrows. I was sent this as a review copy. I never get sent review physical copies, so this is even more exciting. I give this book 4.25 stars. I'll link my review down below so you can read it. It follows a Scottish hunky hero whose name is Hamish, and he is labeled as the Duke of Murder, and he's so sweet. I love him so much. And he meets this woman named Megan, and I really like Megan because she's, she can't see, so she has to wear bifocals, and she's red hair, and she's really different from a lot of the other girls in the town. It's a sweet story. I highly recommend checking out my review to see if you're interested in it, because I don't want to go too in-depth with it, because since it is a review, I don't want to review copy. I don't want to spoil anything, but I definitely recommend it if you're a fan of historical romances, because Grace Burrows' writing is really deep, and this novel focuses a lot on war and PTSD within heroes during the historical time, so I definitely recommend checking it out. It's definitely worth it. And that's some of the books that I've read in 2016, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye!